do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.
We have an exciting show lined up for you today, starting with the distribution of sunscreen to people with albinism and graduation of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities Kenyan Sign Language class. My name is Jen Theuri and you're watching Able Differently. Let's get started.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
Provision of sunscreen, lotion, and other protective gears to persons with albinism is a program by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. On the 30th of March, they flagged off these necessities for distribution. Take a look.
The government has been providing each and every financial year 100 million for persons with albinism. The most important thing is to make sure that persons with albinism get sunscreen lotion, after sun, lip balm, headgears, and all protective gears.
I'm proud that we are back here to flag off other medical supplies. That is 5,000 pieces of lip balms to support the albinism program, around 3,784 pieces of after sun lotions, 11,589 sunscreen lotions, that is SPF 50 plus for adults, and 11,590 SPF 50 plus for the children. All these commodities are valued at approximately 55 million Kenya shillings.
Persons with albinism, right now we are saying about the sun. Wakikaa kwa jua sana, wanakuwa affected. That is why government felt it was fit to provide this particular kitty to this special group.
For the past 8 years, the National Council through the national government have been able to spend over 800 million just to procure sunscreen and protective gear for persons living with albinism, and also sometimes persons who have vitiligo 90%. And we thank the government of Uhuru Kenyatta for being able to provide for us these services that are extremely expensive out there.
Tunataka tu kuambia watu wote Kenya nzima ya kwamba mafuta serikali imenunua na mafuta iko tayari. Ukienda hospitali, pahali ambapo huwa unachukua mafuta, nenda kwa sababu mafuta iko tayari.
Today, we are doing things differently. So now let's take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Article 25 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties shall, Part B, provide those health services needed by persons with disabilities, specifically because of their disabilities, including early identification and intervention as appropriate, and services designed to minimize and prevent further disabilities, including among children and older persons.
We're differently abled, differently.
Sign language chose me because completing high school, for me, I never thought I'll do sign language totally. And then I'm working in town, Apo Kencom. So I see these guys communicating. Growing up, I would see people communicating without words, and for some reason, it interested me. And then all of a sudden, just that curiosity to be able to communicate without words, especially just communicate without words, was something else. You know, there is how you would communicate maybe with someone, just like how you're talking. And then nowadays, using sign language, for me, I saw it meant a lot to me. It meant something else. Having this world of just silence, but also you can communicate without words. You know how they say, is it love or something? Communicate without words. For me, that was it.
Like for me, I've never met a deaf person, and if I was to meet one or maybe two groups, as in itakuwa hard to interact with them because sija learn the same languages, but ingekuwa my interest to interact with them in a way yenye tuna feel the vibe and everything.
I'm a sign language interpreter. So I do interpretation there's a program I do interpretation in KBC, it's called Mkulima. Apart from that, I'm a Christian. So I do interpretation also for the deaf. Basically is not even interpretation, but teaching the deaf the Bible from a tender age of 2 years to grown-ups. So interacting with the deaf people, I'm used to it because that is part of the work that I do on weekends. When I'm not working, I'm busy with the deaf outside teaching them the Bible.
It's challenging, but I think it's good to learn a new language. It's a skill. It's something good to communicate with people.
I have tried. I do a lot of YouTube learning of sign language because I'm yet to get enrolled in a school where they teach sign language. So that is my only place where I can learn sign language.
I know about sign language. Knowing sign language, just the basic, like hello, such kind of things. But when I encounter a person who's deaf and they want to communicate, mostly because the country has embraced persons who are deaf, and you'll find them working with sign language interpreters, by the way. So it eases the work. They just sign, and the sign language interpreter who is with them actually talks and says what the person with hearing impairment is really trying to say.
For me, I have a cousin who's deaf. I've known her since I was young. And what, for me, like growing up, it wasn't something like, I don't know any disability or something, because we grew up in the same household. So what I started learning, I think, when I was from class 2 to know, because I really didn't know how to communicate with her, I started learning sign language, and that's how we've used to communicate since now. And what I would want for that, like, to be for people with disabilities to not feel like, they're not part of the community or something like that, is like maybe to incorporate it in schools for sign language to be taught.
Let's take a short break and we'll be right back with more. Don't go too far.
'Cause we're differently abled, differently.
KBC Board of Directors, Management and Staff wishes all our esteemed listeners, viewers and clients a happy Easter. May Christ's death and resurrection fill you with hope and peace. Happy Easter from us.
On this week's episode of the Dadas Show, we shall be taking an in-depth look at the high cost of living affecting Kenyans all over the country.
Even when the food and fuel prices go high, women suffer most.
We do need to have a switch in terms of Kenya has all the factors of production. We have land, we have labor, we have capital, but most people keep asking, why do we keep importing almost everything in our country? So I think until we make that psychological shift.
The informal sector is the backbone of the economy, especially here in Nairobi. Most people, most households, they survive on the informal sector, and that is the SME.
You as the stakeholders in that department, what are you doing to caution the young entrepreneurs from such issues?
Be sure to tune in to KBC Channel 1 on Sunday at 4 p.m.
Welcome back. In October 2021, selected government essential workers were enrolled for a basic training in Kenya Sign Language. This saw them graduate on the 30th of March 2022. Take a look.
The National Council for Persons with Disabilities, NCPWD, was established by an Act of Parliament to promote and protect the rights of persons with disabilities.
The Council is a state agency mandated to promote inclusive development of persons with disability in this country. It's formed by an Act of Parliament of 2004, and we're in existence for close to 18 years now. And we do a number of the programs to uplift the living standard of persons with disability in the country.
In fulfilling its mandate, they have a program for training government officials in Kenyan Sign Language, which has been recognized as the third official language in Kenya.
Sign language is now, by law, a national language, just like Kiswahili and English. And deaf community must have access to the services in this country. And we have to make that services available to them to ensure that we have adequate persons who understand the sign language or the interpretation, for them. So as a council, we are supporting, through training program of key government, institutions where, public frequents, like hospitals, police cells, all the front offices, let me say generally, how those staffs have a basic, training on sign language.
The 2021-2022 class had the largest number of enrollment, with centers in various parts of the country.
We are training at Kenya Institute of Special Education, KISE, over 360 across the country in 8 centers. A program that is running for 6 months. 3 months in a class, 3 months kind of a practicum, for them.
My name is Linda. This is my sign name. I am happy to be here to learn sign language because I want to become an ambassador for the deaf people. I am happy to get an opportunity to learn sign language, and I hope I have gotten some skills to help the deaf outside there in Nakuru Court.
My name is Patricia, Patricia. My sign name is Patricia. So the reason for my being here learning sign language, Kenyan Sign Language, is because I have some relatives who are deaf, and it becomes a problem to communicate with them. So I found it easier. Me, my mother, and basically my family decided that it would be easier for me to come and learn sign language so that I'm able to communicate with them. It's quite hard when you have the youth trying to communicate, but there's no way in which you can be able to basically communicate with them.
The class was all-inclusive, with the trainers ensuring that everyone was at par.
Nimesoma poa. Teacher Wanja na Degu alikuwa ananisaidia kwa exams. Naweza ambia watu wengine kuja somea sign language. Juu ni kitu mzuri to communicate na deaf person as he feel a colony. I feel that akona watu
have been the trainers of this program, and there have been other cohorts that have been trained or that have been sponsored by National Council of Persons with Disability, where KISE have been training all through. and they have been wonderful students. They seem to have had a lot of interest in Kenyan Sign Language. Unlike before, whereby maybe there could be few people who were interested. This time, as you have heard, we have been having a larger groups, different people from different organizations, from the government, who have been learning.
So far coming here, I've been able to meet teacher Wanja and teacher Ndagwa. They've been really good teachers. They've been able to teach us in a way that we can be able to understand and basically experience everything.
Nachukua nafasi kushukuru kitengo changu cha JSU kwa kunipa nafasi nije kusoma. Kwa ule wakati nimekaa hii shule ama tangu nianze siku ya kwanza, sikuwa naamini kwamba nina uwezo ama ninaweza kuwa na uwezo wa kuongea kwa lugha ya watu ambao wanaishi na ulemavu wa kutosikia. But for now, I'm happy with what the teachers have done for us. I can sign, I can communicate.
I promise to do my best in helping the deaf and also interpreting to break the sign language barrier. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, teacher, for you have been patient with us when learning. We have learned a lot, and now I've gained some skills to become or to help the deaf and also become an advocate. Thank you.
Now that these students have acquired sign language skills or Kenyan Sign Language skills, we expect them to go out there and help the deaf people or the deaf community, advocate for them because they come from different areas, maybe in hospitals. We have medics in this group. Once they find a deaf person who goes to seek their services in the hospital, how do they assist him? So we find it will be easier for the deaf community because they will be having people to assist them.
Pertaining to training at Kenya Institute of Special Education and having met all the necessary training requirements, I do hereby award you certificate in the area you have been trained in.
We have to ensure at one time in our lifetime, almost all Kenyans would sign the basic ones so that our disabled, particularly the deaf ones, are not left behind.
On the 30th of March 2022, it was all smiles as the class graduated at the Kenya Institute of Special Education. KISE Director Dr. Kyogoria affirmed that the officers trained while leaving the institution having qualified and ready to serve.
This team has been trained this time round, is the most competent because they have gone to the training. Once we have rolled out the CBC, whereby we are very much keen on translation on disability, and therefore we are present to present to the country the best sign language team.
Other government officials present during the graduation applauded the graduates and encouraged them to always aim higher.
Kindly pick a path of improvement. You have gotten that. You're going to get a certificate today, but we want to urge you to pick a path of improvement.
We have to really take this as not only just basic sign language as a profession, as a career. Just the way people take, other courses. Kenya Sign Language, not just the basic, train up to the advanced level so that, you can be an expert there.
With the National Council and the KICD, we have developed a curriculum for diploma of sign language interpreters.
And at the council, we just want to encourage you that you have gotten this golden opportunity. Please make use of it.
We want to thank your employers and various agencies who gave out you to go and get trained in Kenya Sign Language.
As we serve or as we live, the only thing that could be permanent is that you may join the other side. People don't appreciate that, but that's why we have had this institution to be here, KISE, to sort out that. So as you are still on this side, please make sure the other side is comfortable so that should you, by some situation, get into the other side, you are taken care of.
The chief guest, CAS Abdul Bahari, who was representing Professor Margaret Kobia, said that disability issues was a top agenda in the ministry.
I have resolved to ensure that issues of disabilities are top on my agenda. We will also engage with the stakeholders to ensure that Kenya Sign Language interpreters are provided in all communication spheres.
He also affirmed the importance of language in communication.
Language is where we start. When you meet the other individual, after seeing and interacting, you start with the language. And the moment you are able to communicate, then you are doing very well. If you don't communicate well, then there is a barrier. You need to maintain a register of the persons who have been trained on this, on the Kenya Sign Language, and keep their contact and maintain that contact on a regular basis so that when there is need, even at regional level, anybody who contacts you, you can easily provide that information.
With the need to train more people, the call is to other organizations to come in and support the program.
We want to see how we can put more numbers into it in the next financial year, hopefully, so that we can reach out to all important, essential departments that offer services to the public.
I'm very grateful for the National Council of People with Disabilities for giving me this opportunity, for sponsoring my education here, because it's basically education to learn sign language and better the environment. Being part of the deaf culture, it makes it easier for us to communicate and relate with them, not making them feel like they're less beings.
I would wish to encourage even other personnel, government, maybe in churches or other organizations, to support their employees to come and learn this course, because it really makes their work easier out there. Because our deaf brothers, our deaf sisters, our deaf parents, we have them within the society. And when we can be able to communicate, when we can be able to break the communication barrier, life becomes easier for all of us.
Kenyans are now coming up. They're getting excited now that to include everybody, you must understand their ways of doing things. You must understand their language. Sign language, maybe I can say, it's like the wheelchair to me for a deaf person. If I don't have a wheelchair, there is no way I can go. And for sign language interpretation or services, that's exactly what it means for that deaf person. Every day, it is the ears of that person, literally. The way the wheelchair, the ear and the tongue of that person, the way the wheelchair is a leg for me.
And that's where we wrap up the show for today. But be sure to join us every other Sunday when time and space allows. And remember to make the society inclusive for all. My name is Jane Theuri. Goodbye.
We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable. You beautiful. We are born to do great things.